Today's guest is someone I've known since we were kids. We played football and won the championship together. Coach Bass talked about the same season on this very show. Jason Hart went on to become a record setting point guard at Syracuse. He played professionally overseas, then played 9 years in the NBA. Since retiring, Jason has coached at Pepperdine, USC, the G League, Ignite, and now at Kentucky. Today, we're not just talking about basketball. We're talking about preparation, pressure, identity, longevity, and what separates talent from stability. Jay Hart, welcome to the show. So when you look back at that football championship, when we got down, what did that environment teach you about preparation?
Like the preparation that we always took for our football practice, we obviously took it serious, but in the moment, the environment wasn't too big because we was just still always playing football from just playing in the streets, slow mo, throw 'em up tackle. It wasn't no pressure, man. It was actually just it was calm because we had did this thing of playing football all the time. So we just reacted to how the game presented itself and just continued to have fun throughout. And so I didn't feel any pressure, man. It was just something that we always been doing since we was kids.
Hey, man, that's crazy, man, because you hear people talking about the difference in the era so much, right?
Yeah.
How we stayed outside. And
Yeah.
then you often hear people talking about how, the youngsters don't realize it, but we talk about the dogs,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, you had to be a dog to play with us.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like it was, or you just didn't come outside
Nah. Nah.
because you had to be a dog, whether it was slow mo or going to Lottie hair and
Basketball.
yeah, like if you couldn't take how we was playing, you just wasn't coming.
Yeah. And that was a section that me and you was raised in. That was all over.
That
Like, you
that's
know what
that's
I
what I
mean?
mean. Like you
So
had to
it
be
just
somebody that just wasn't coming out the house because everybody was dogs.
exactly, man. And that's a blessing that we grew up in this era that we got a chance to be around that environment where it was serious, but we wasn't no punks when it came to competing against each other. And what a time to be alive, right? And
Yes,
to go through that
yes.
part. And so now that we have that, that's something nobody can ever take from us. The era that we grew up in.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, at what point did you realize basketball could take you somewhere beyond just being good?
Man, it's funny you ask me that question. Cause when people always ask me what's my favorite sport, I always say football. They're like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, I played football from six years old all the way up to my sophomore year in high school." People like, "Damn," cause football to me is still the ultimate team sport, and it's no better sport that give you that fun, that joy. It was after my freshman year in high school football, my dad and my high school coach at Westchester, Coach Ed Azam, they got together and behind my back, they said that I should go just all basketball. And I didn't find that out till years later. But my dad, I mean, I guess he knew what was best for me. But still to this day, I thought I was about to get ready for my sophomore year of football until I got the news that I can't play. So it was the right decision. But to the end, I'm a football player first, and just God blessed me to reach a level of basketball that I never could imagine. I dreamed of, but we made the right decision.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, growing up, what did the adults around you get right?
Hmm. Uh, so the adults around me, that's a good ass question. I think that far as my mom and my dad, they got it right. Is they tried to keep us in sports. You was included as well. They tried to keep us doing things busy, so we wouldn't be running around doing crazy stuff, right? And then we just looked at like the people in our neighborhood who wasn't doing good. When I say doing good, like the gang banging and all that, they always told us you ain't doing that, you're gonna go hoop or you're gonna go play football. And so I just think the adults back then, we had respect for them too though, Reg. Remember, we grew up like no sir, yes ma'am, that not cussing in front of our elders. So the all the adults around us, we had respect for them. So when I say I'm gonna give all the adults their props because it was just having the respect that we have for our elders when we was coming up is not the same today. So they got it right by demanding that, and thank God we was raised in an era where we had to respect adults. No cussing in front of them. Man, they could see it. Got to hide. We had to hide and sneak stuff. So
And it's funny you say that because when you look at the difference, so like back then, right? I remember some of my friends' parents, they would hear little stories about me and be like, hell nah, not Reggie, not
right.
Spud, because I was so respectful around them, right? Man,
Yeah.
I had so much respect for your mom and pops, like from afar, just seeing how they had you like just grounded, like, always there for you, doors always open. Like, yeah, I had mad love for
Appreciate it, man. And my mom and my dad, I had always obviously safe place to go, but they got divorced when I was in the second grade, and so my dad moved down the street closer to you, and so I always had both parents, and then I had all my football coaches, basketball coaches, Miss Peterson, everybody. Everybody chipped in to help raise us all. So we was just in a time where we was raised not only in our own households, but the community made sure we was going on the right path as well.
them. So, what would you say the adults got wrong during them times?
Huh. You know what? I always get on my dad like, man, why you let me play baseball? Or why you let me run some track? That's the only thing I can say did wrong. I mean, I grew up got whoopings, and I can't say that was wrong. You know what I mean? At the time, I felt it was wrong, but I needed whoopings. That helps shape who you are, who you become in your life. And so, only thing I can say my dad did wrong, man. He didn't introduce me to enough sports, man, like track, baseball, other things that we could have excelled in. We just basically played with what we grew up watching and what he grew up watching, which was football and basketball. So that's the only thing I can say, man. I had to go to church on Sundays, and so that's what it was.
But outside of your parents, though, your coaches, your
Yep.
teachers, what was some of the things that they got wrong?
Oh man, so like, not following their dreams. You know what I mean? I just think that era was about let me get a job, let me take care of my wife, my kids. And so a lot of them adults that raised us, especially in the sports world, they just live vicariously through us because they couldn't and they didn't have the courage and the fight to make their dreams come true. And so I think they just sacrificed to raise us, my dad, my mom, and they didn't chase their own personal dreams.
Hmm.
And then another thing that I always tease my mom and dad about is they was the era like Martin Luther King got killed when my mom and them was in the junior high school, and they was the group that was supposed to keep it going. They to me that group let it fade. You know what I mean? And so that's where like the Black Panthers kicked in, and like my mom and them era who was up under Martin Luther King, they didn't keep his thing going, and then that birthed the Black Panthers. So I always tease them, but they wasn't woke. They didn't see probably the big picture of African American people, and so that era to me got it wrong for
I was
sure.
just talking to somebody about that today,
That's facts.
and I brought up Martin Luther King, how all of the stuff that he did to just hope that we all got better opportunities. Then you fast forward however many years later to Barack Obama becoming a president, and however many years after that, we still got a lot of our people not dreaming, not doing nothing because they feel, you know, we're less privileged.
Yeah.
All that does is it made me more resilient. Like I live that, you know what I mean? We come
Yep.
from that, we live with that, but it ain't like, all right, just sit back and do nothing.
Yeah.
Don't let that be your reason.
And that be that's when you get it wrong. You don't want to get into the fight. You know, life is a fight, you know what I mean, for whoever. And
Mhm.
you know, we as black people, we gotta stay in the fight. You know what I mean? They brought us to the fight, so we just gotta stay in it and keep swinging. And that's been my motto, just with this whole my whole journey. I'm just gonna swing till I can't swing no more. And you never know what you can connect with. And so, you know, look at you, you're a doctor now, dog. So I'm just saying, bro, you just swing, you'll never know what you can get. And it's dreaming too. So I got this great, man. I still got dreams. You know what I mean? And I guess that's I'm a dream until I can't dream no more.
Oh man, out here in the middle of nowhere on the East Coast, freezing, hibernating. That's all I do is dream and find a way to go get
Man, you out there in the sticks 'cause it's cold where you at, huh?
it.
Can't go outside like how we grew up in. But that's good though, because when you're away, you get to concentrate and focus on you and your family, and you don't have no distractions. So, you know, hey, I'm in Lexington, Kentucky right now, you know, so I get it. We both from Southern California, and we had to move to keep this thing, this good life that we want. So it's part of it.
So let's fast forward it.
All right.
Syracuse. When you arrive, what hit you first? The speed, the structure, or the expectation?
None of them three. Did all everything you said, I was cool with. It was the weather. When I got there, August of 1996. By the time October 1996, that was the first time I ever seen snow in my life, and it didn't stop. And so it was the weather, which for me was the culture shock. And then I always tell people that I went to Inglewood High School, so our school was black and Latina. When I got to Syracuse, I think the black student population was like 4%, and so it was me in a new fishbowl, figuring out how to navigate this new school system I'm in, which was all white, and so that was the part that I had to uh, learn fast and grow accustomed to. The basketball part, I mean, we grew up always playing against older guys. So the speed of the game, that was going to take a little time to get used to, and just, the crowd, the magnitude of it. The expectation, I knew what I was walking into, but that school part, dealing with not seeing none of your friends, your peers no more, that's an adjustment that all young men who come from an urban area and attend these high level universities, that's what we struggle and have to deal with.
So I definitely that's what I experienced when I got here.
Of course. It's tough, man. It's tough.
Like
It's
like
tough.
it, dude, I was so miserable that first Christmas.
Yeah, I bet.
Oh my God. it,
I bet.
dude, I was all excited when the snow first hit.
Yeah.
After like 3 weeks, I was like, all right, where the sun at?
Yeah.
Dog,
Uh-uh.
it was 3 months later. I was like, dude, are we kidding?
Nah. Ain't that crazy that and so we grew up in that little our pocket where we never even tripped weather. Like, oh, it's cold outside. It's 70, man. Put a little sweatshirt on. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Spud, we put a sweatshirt on when it's 70. Like, man, it's kind of chilly. Man,
For
you in like that 12, 8, 7, 6, 5 for a month at a time, right? So, nah, you just appreciate home more, but you also, learn to adjust and adapt. And that's how other people live other places. So eventually, ain't even no whining no more. Put a jacket on, keep it pushing.
So, what separated you from other talented guards?
Um, you know what? I wasn't the most talented, and I don't like that's not a diss, but I was tough. So I grew up with you. We always was wrestling and tackling and fighting. And then what made me have this toughness, I ain't gonna lie, I still take it to this day, is we grew up in a gang culture where you just couldn't be a punk anywhere you went. You know what I mean? And so you would see somebody from another gang, your heart start pounding, but you couldn't run. You had to like stand up to whatever was gonna happen to you. Whether somebody try to take your bike, somebody try to sock you. It just was what it was. So by the time I got on the basketball court, man, I wasn't scared of shit. You know what I mean? Just getting chased my whole life from this gang to this side. I'm on this people house to that. So the gang culture helped me with the basketball because it taught me no fear. And we not about to fight out here. So it was like, oh, this is easy. You know what I mean? So it was a blessing growing up in a time where it was chaos, but that chaos, I used that as toughness on the basketball court. And that's what carried me through my career, man, for sure.
So you just brought this up in my head.
What's that?
So what was it? 98.
Huh?
I just got out the penitentiary. You came on one of your vacations from Syracuse, called me up at Inglewood High School, play some one-on-ones.
Yeah.
Um, we did our thing. And I don't know what I think. I think I had talked to Harold, and he was trying to put me in something like it was a commercial or a Drew League, something. And I was about to start working out with you that whole summer. You remember that? You picked
Yes.
me up.
Yep.
So prior to that, I all like you couldn't fuck with me. I'll swallow Jay, right? This was my mentality.
Right.
Dog, you picked me up, you and Lamar. We went to
Yep.
the beach.
I was,
After about 10 minutes, I said, man, that nigga is a fool. You just didn't stop running. I was like, hell no. When you finally came back, you was like, are you ready to go lift? I said, nigga, take me home.
so that was my Playa del Rey beach. That was my run. I would run on the sand all the way down to the poles, then run back, then go lift, then go hoop, then eat, then come back and hoop later. I
I
mean,
would
listen,
I
that was
would have
my
never
job.
known how far you was running because
Yeah, you
I
stop.
wasn't gonna keep going.
Yeah, what's crazy, Spud? And I didn't even really look at that as like, oh my God. I just was like always paranoid that I'm on the West Coast, so I'm home for my summer break, and everybody on the East Coast is already been up for 3 hours. You know what I mean? So that's why I used to try to like keep a routine doing something because I always knew they was 3 hours ahead. And then I'm from LA. I already know kids wanted to go to Syracuse that was from that side of the country. So I always just had to be twice as better. Nobody had to tell me that. I just knew that. I just tricked myself into thinking that. And that's why I think I started for 4 years because I was just ready for them before they even got ready for me. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And that was like all my soon to be new teammates. You know what I mean? So I was doing that for them, man, just to stay ahead. So when I got back in those competition, it wasn't gonna be no up to no debate. He from LA and I'm gonna play this kid because he from New York. Bullshit. I was ready. And so those summer training, we had all. Hey, actually, I had it better than the rest of them because I had sand. I had hills. I
Right,
had
right,
gyms. So
right.
so so the sand and the beach and being from LA really helped me. Everybody said it was soft. No, I used to just do the hard shit. You know what I mean? And it was for free. We could run on the sand for free. You know, the sand dunes.
So did you ever struggle with tying performance to identity?
You know what I did my sophomore year? I had a really good freshman year. My sophomore year, I put too much pressure on myself, and so I was just living everything through basketball. And it wasn't until I didn't have a good season. Obviously, it was okay, but it wasn't the one I expected. So for my sophomore year and my junior year, I grew. I grew as a man because I started to separate the two. Because if I did have a good game, then when I left, I was gonna be sad, right? And so I just started to say, basketball is just what I'm doing over here, and then I'm Baby J over here laughing and clowning. And so when I separated the two, I started to grow as a man, and that's when I understood it's a game. I still love it, but I can't let the game dictate my feelings if I play good or not. And that's what helped me out a lot. But that took some time. Though. It was a whole year of my sophomore year where I was just like depressed. And so you grow and you learn, and that was my time where I could find my own identity outside the game.
Yeah, it's hard to watch kids that fall into that where they
Yeah.
feel like when they don't perform well, it's the end of the world. It's like It's a whole great world out there other than how good you do in this game. Um, so how did you handle bad games early in your career?
Um, think about it, dwell on it, and have another bad game, and then have another bad game. So and that was my sophomore year. I couldn't figure it out, and you know, 9 times out of 10, people run from that. They're like, "I'm transferring, man. I'm gonna blame the coach." You know what I mean? I'm gonna do this and do that. And what's crazy is that '98 summer when me and you worked. I went back to school that fall, '98 fall. '98, '99 was my best college statistical season,
Hmm,
right? And so that was the year I would come off my worst. And so what it taught me is you can't give a F and
right.
you got to
Yep.
work. And, I was thinking about transferring. I'm like, man, what I'm transferring from? I'm starting, right? And so that's when you have to nut up, and I couldn't run to my mom or dad as for pillows because they wasn't gonna tell me, come on, or this or that. I didn't. That wasn't how they was built.
Right.
So that wasn't how you was built, my peers. So you had to fight it out, and that's what I did. And so it was just the work, man. And I just always think when you're struggling or something and you ain't good at it, you can't figure it out. That means you got to work harder and at what you're doing, right? And just try to get better at it and figure it out that way.
So 9 years in the NBA, what does preparation look like that the fans don't see?
So preparation is building a routine and habit, right? I think like a pro is a pro, just like you go to McDonald's and get the French fries, they're gonna be same, fresh, taste the same. Well, to be a professional, you gotta whatever time you get your minutes in the NBA game, you gotta be the same, you gotta be consistent. It has to look the same every time. And so when I say I don't want to say it's easier because that may sound like anybody can do it, which that's not true. But it's easier being a pro because my job was probably to play defense, give my teammates the ball, and make open shots. I didn't go into the game, so I got to do 19 crossovers and this, and that. Because I'm a pro now. You get paid to do what you're good at. You know what I mean? And so that takes all the anxiety away from you having to do things that you're not even comfortable doing when you're just going to do what you're really good at. That's what they're paying you for. So the preparation was in the summertime, you just work on the things that they was paying you to do. It wasn't 10, it was 2 or 3. Now you still worked on your own game on the side, but you made sure that you was a professional in what you needed to do. And that's how you keep a job at any profession, just being good at what you're good at. And that's that's the preparation right there. Consistently doing it, never taking too much time off to allow a delay in your skill, and always making sure that what you put in your body, you reminded yourself that can it help you keep going in your career. So that was easy.
Let me ask you this. How long do you think the average NBA player actually stay in the NBA?
It's probably about 3 years, maybe 4 years or less. It's 4 years or less for sure.
So when
So
you say, so when you say it's easier because you're a pro and you get paid, I don't see a lot of players being able, even though they getting these millions, to go do the same thing every time. A lot of times I see, and just as a fan,
yeah.
I'm watching people play outside of their game or their role.
Yeah.
So I think it to credit you, I think you had something special. You knew how to play your role and have that longevity.
Well, the ones you see doing that, I mean, sports. The ones you see doing that, they don't last. Football, baseball, basketball, you don't last because your ego is still involved, right? And so, like when I got drafted, man, I wasn't better than Sam Cassell. I didn't need. So, I going with an ego? I'm better. No, that's when you have to realize because you're at another level, right? And so, the quicker you know who you are, the easier it is for them to understand you too. So, if y'all understand each other, then we can work together. It's like a
Mhm.
marriage,
Right,
right?
right,
And
right.
so if you go in there and thinking like, man, I'm better than Tim Duncan, man, run, then they think you delusion. That you're gonna be out of there fast, right?
Hmm.
So that's the key. You're right, man. Like, yeah, and I found that easy though. I didn't find that hard because that was real. Like I'll be lying to myself. We didn't grow up getting lied to, right? So how am I lie to myself? So that was easy for me. Now a lot of young players and young talented kids now they don't look at it that way. And obviously, this is a whole new, different generation. But those that do, they end up staying in the NBA for a long time because they understand who they are.
So I watched Kobe Bryant play live once ever in my life.
Right.
That game was the Western Conference Finals, and he got presented the MVP. Thank you for them tickets, dog.
Oh, you're welcome, man.
I'll never forget that.
You're welcome, man.
Um, what do you remember about that finals when he got that MVP?
Well, dating back to Kobe, man, I met Kobe Bryant in 1995. We was at the same Adidas camp in Teaneck, New Jersey. So I've been admiring and a fan of his. That was my first time going to a major camp. So when I'm leaving LA, I'm flying all the way to Jersey. He's from Pennsylvania, Philly. So seeing him then, he was like the best player I had ever seen in my life, right? And we the same. Actually, I was probably a year older than him, but we the same grade. And so from there, when you got them tickets to where I seen him in 1995, he was always better than everybody. So it wasn't a surprise to me where he was and where he went with his life and his game because Kobe has always been that deal. I always found it amazing just to be on the court with him, to share the court with him because you knew what special was when you seen it because we wasn't no haters. And he been that way since, like I said, first time I met him when I was 17 years old. So uh, he been the deal, and then to see him in the NBA just doing that, and didn't have to go to college. Now, just think about this: he got drafted to my favorite team that I grew up loving my whole life. I went to Syracuse. When I came home, I went straight to the forum to watch him play. He was a rookie. I remember I went down there and tapped him on his shoulder to say what's up to him. I'm like, damn, I'm in college. You in the league. That wasn't even like that was like, man, nobody wasn't doing that. The year before Kevin Garnett did it, but to see him do it in LA and then the whole city fall in love and embrace him, that was awesome for me, dog. Cause Kobe was the real deal. And what you seen, Spud, that was normal. Every year I played him in the league, in the playoffs, he did us like that. So he dude didn't surprise me and nothing. He would play the same way he did in high school, better than everybody.
So, from your perspective, what separates him from everybody else?
Oh man, he had the physical tools and he had he had the thing to mimic the best player ever to play the game, Michael Jordan, right? And so he was like crazy enough to like, I'm really gonna try that. And people used to laugh, like, man, he trying to be like Jordan. Now, if you think about it, we laughing at somebody who trying to be like the best. That's what would be wrong with us, just as people. I ain't gonna say just black people, just people in period. We laughing at somebody who's trying to act like the best or be the best.
Right, right.
Think about that, man. That's crazy. We're laughing. He's actually trying to do it and succeeding. So he had the nuts to really go out and do it, and then he had the work ethic behind it. Like his work ethic was crazy, and he already was talented, and so money didn't make him. He wanted to be the best basketball player you could see, and that dude was different, and that's why he came. He came close to being like Mike.
Yep. How do players manage emotional volatility at that level?
You know what? Normally, if you super emotional, the teams always have psychologists that travel with us. Making sure mentally we all stable. Then obviously, at that level, the professional level, normally you marry, you got kids, and so that's normal. Another balancing form to kind of keep you level headed. And then the third thing is just knowing what's at stake. At the end of the day, to play in the NBA, man, it's special. And so you don't want to trick that off. So you kind of like coach yourself to maintain the level of professionalism all the time. And I just think that those three factors kind of help you stay in a cool, level-headed mind.
So Kobe was trying to be Jordan. Kobe probably thought he was already Jordan before he even put on the Lakers jersey. Um, I get out the pen and I'm thinking I can go run with you on any given day. What do young players misunderstand about confidence?
Right. Well, it's great to have confidence, right? Again, and I guess go back to this. We always fly, super confident, but without the works, that confidence just gonna just be something that you have. It'd be like superficial. It won't be nothing tangible. So it's cool to be confident, but as long as you got the work behind it, you know what I mean? Because then it's not confidence anymore. It's like a false bravado. You putting on
Right.
the front, right? And so confidence when I walk around, when I just brush my teeth, and I walk around life, I'm confident, right? But I know that you put the work behind that confidence, then it's gonna stick. And then that's reality. So, it's being in a confident reality state to where nobody can never knock you off your pivot or knock you off what you're going through or knock you off where you're trying to get to. And so I just think it's the work for all the young people who striving and pushing. It's cool to be confident, but have something that you're working for and towards that's keeping that confidence high.
So, what concerns you about this generation of athletes?
Um, hmm. You know what? I just think that not all. I just want all the athletes that are currently today in all sports, just know your history, right? I think a lot of times, you know, this generation, they're doing so well in all these sports, but I can't say it all, but I don't know how in tune and how much they know their history of the sport. You know what I mean? And what you in. And so one thing that made LeBron great, he can date back players before he was born. And so, for me as a coach and as a former player, like I watch this current era, but I still get on YouTube and watch 70s and 80s basketball, right? And so I just think that, you have to be knowledgeable of what came before you because that can help you where you are today. Right. And so that's just the history, learning your history. And I just think that I don't know how much they invested in that because everything is about the now, 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 the dollar, the dollar, the dollar. And that's what's going on in college basketball right now. It's just about the dollar, dollar, now, now, now. If it don't work, I transfer, transfer. So we ain't teaching this generation of college athletes shit. We teaching them if it don't work for you and they don't go right, I'm out of here. And so they'll be on somebody's couch. They have more money though when they leave college, but they'll be on somebody's couch when that money run out.
Yeah, so let's stay on that topic. So,
Yeah.
what role do the parents play in helping or hurting their development?
So helping is getting them to a point to where a college program want to give you some money. So we got to get a parents prop at that. That means you did a good job in putting a foundation, a base to have them even being in position to make money in college, which is a blessing. And they making seven figures. The the part where they hurt them is, and not just parents, it's their crew, is when it don't go right, it's Jason Hart fault, the coach, man. He didn't, he didn't. Well, hold on. You got paid up front full. How's it my fault? And so, well, if it don't work, we're gonna leave. That's what the circle say to get money over here. Well, that athlete is not growing. He just going. So eventually this ride gonna be over. So who's gonna teach you and who's gonna teach your kids since nobody didn't teach you? Right?
Mhm.
So that's what it is. That's what fear. That's my biggest fear about 15 years from now when this generation is grown men, how they and women, how they gonna deal with society.
So, what advice would you give the parents that are raising elite athletes?
Yeah. So the advice I would give is make sure you keep them humble. At the end of the day, man, we all gonna be like this, gray, right? And so keep them humble. Make sure you keep the line of communication open with coaches, uh, former coaches, older coaches, because in the end, you're gonna need somebody, right? Right now, we're chasing them and calling them and trying to get them to come join whatever institution we're at, but that's gonna be over with at some point. And so just keep a level of respect and respect the people who's trying to obviously recruit you, and just know that this ain't gonna last forever, man. At the end of the day, nobody stays young forever.
So if you could talk to a young Jay Hart,
Yeah,
just just getting into the NBA,
yeah.
what would you say to him?
Uh, man, enjoy the ride. Work hard. Um, build and develop relationships. Um, where you at right now, man. It's a million people who want to be in your shoes, so never take it for granted. And just know that you're blessed. And so that's what I tell myself, and that's probably how I tried to live my time in the NBA by those same words.
So what does long-term success actually require?
Discipline. You know, without self-discipline, success is short-lived. And so I started off like a folder when I was my freshman year in college. I just remembered it, and I and put it on shirts and everything else. Long-term success is discipline, man, self-discipline, doing stuff that you have to do when you don't want to, over and over and over and over and over again to where it just becomes you. So those are the things that how I live by. It may not always get rewarded for it, but as long as you keep stacking them days and stacking doing the right thing, the good will eventually come from it, and you just got to live by it, and that has to be the way. That has to be your way of life.
So preparation has been big coming out my mouth lately.
Yeah,
I just finished a book called Prepared Parents Raise Prepared Kids.
100.
How would you define preparation?
Um, I got a math test on Friday, and the previous Sunday, I go hang with my friends, or I stay in this house and get this test going. Now, this test ain't gonna really mean that's a high school test where if I could just get a C because I'm a star basketball player, or I can start these habits now before I get to college, and this same habits will prepare me for not just school but for life and basketball and so on and so on. So preparation is doing something. Proper preparation is doing something and studying it and taking time to dissect it prior to the date you have to execute. And so now Reggie on Sunday, man, I'm gonna chill at the house, man. I'm gonna study. And then on Monday, man, I ain't gonna stay after school. I'm gonna go to the house, man. I gotta get on this test. And then Tuesday, I'm gonna take a practice test of it. And then Wednesday, man, I'm gonna study it in class. And then Thursday, I'm gonna get one last one. And then Friday, I'm gonna cruise in and get that A on that. So it's about obviously being disciplined and training yourself. You know what I mean? Successful adults are trained, period. You know how a
Yes.
dog is trained? I don't want to compare us to dogs, but like a successful adult is trained. You don't got to tell a successful adult to do anything, right? So it's training yourself, training your mind to do what you need to do all the time.
And I thank you so much, Jay.
My dog,
Y'all play tomorrow?
we play Saturday at Auburn.
Auburn.
They tough.
Good luck, dog.
All right, bro.
Love you, man. Have a
Love
good
you too,
night.
bro. Appreciate you.
All right.
Yep.